that can mean just one thing. It's time for the goRIA live stream. I'm Chuck Philip. And if you've been watching this for a while, you know that we use these Wednesday afternoon segments to put a little spotlight on what's new on www.goria.com. And what we have new this week, we just dropped a podcast with Mike Langford, who you probably know is the CEO, founder and CEO, I should say, of PodBox. So together, Mike and I talked about podcasting, which is kind of interesting, kind of a show about a show, right? I think that was actually a Broadway show at one point, forget which one. But what we're going to talk about, and as I think we're getting known for, is a lot of specificity. So if you're an advisor looking to go RIA or not, right? This is going to be one of those non-denominational shows where if you're a BD advisor, you want to think about doing podcast. If you're an RIA advisor, I know you're probably thinking about podcasting. A lot of us do. As always, though, I do like to put in the contrast, just to be fair, in the RIA space, it tends to be a little bit easier to do more creative marketing. And I think podcast is a great example of creative marketing. Can you do them in the BD space? Of course you can. Is it as easy to get it through compliance and all the rigmarole? I would argue it's probably not, especially if you're at one of the large wirehouses. Definitely doable. Doable with as much ease, probably not. But we're going to touch upon that in this podcast. And I'm about to play just a little taste of what it is, but it's up live right now on goria.com. But here's a little preview of what we talked about, Mike and I. Newer way to do that drip marketing that's much more personal. All right, maybe we pivot now to, okay, it's important to have a show. Podcasts are a great way to deliver content, staying top of mind in front of people. Let's get a little granular, right?
Sure.
So someone is going from zero, never done a podcast before. What should they be thinking about kind of broadly as they're doing this, but then more specifically down to even equipment, what they should be looking at?
So super easy. Though, in terms of equipment, let's start with equipment because that's people do get hung up on the gear, but you're actually using one of our PodBox microphones, right?
That's right.
That we send out. Microphone quality matters, so when you think about, we record every show that we produce, whether it's ours or ones for our clients, with video and audio. It's important to remember that audio is half of video, right? If you've got a video and the audio quality is absolute trash, I assure you people will turn it off because if you sound too loud, you're peaky, or there's too much static, or you sound like you're talking in a tin can, people are not going to like that, right? So invest in a reasonably high quality microphone setup. They don't cost thousands of dollars. Now, the one that I'm speaking into is a very expensive microphone running into an expensive soundboard. You don't have to do that. The one that Chuck is speaking into at this very moment is a $140 setup, right? It's a high quality microphone. It's plugged directly into his computer. It's on a mic stand with a shock mount, and it's got a pop filter on it, that little foam thing there that lessens the hard T's and P's, right? Those are called plosives that come out. So invest in a decent quality microphone. Second thing I would recommend you do, invest in a halfway decent webcam, because that webcam that's built into your computer, right? First of all, if it's in your laptop, it's probably going to be looking up at you. Nobody wants to look up your nose. So get a webcam you can put on your monitor. It looks at you. Get one that does 1080. I always recommend this one called Logitech Brio 4K or whatever it's called. It's under $200. I think they're around $150 now. They're wonderful. They're small. They travel really well. They perform exceptionally good in a variety of lighting conditions. Now, speaking of lighting matters. Like when you think about video, your iPhone will take stunningly beautiful 4K video in good light. Crappy light, like really light, just not going to do as well. So if your office or wherever you're going to be recording your podcast, if you're doing video, isn't well lit, invest in a tiny bit of lighting. It doesn't have to be super expensive studio lighting, but it can be a ring light. Watch the heat on those types of things. A lot of people have ring lights, but they're really hot. You'll see like how bright their face. So a little cooler. Okay.
Yeah.
But so from an equipment perspective, there's that. The other gear is the recording solution. Now, a lot of people get started with Zoom, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to be using Zoom has one little feature on the recording that I want you to go into, and it's check separate audio tracks for people that you're recording. Why do you want separate audio tracks? Well, I'm in my home office right now. Most people are nowadays. And even if they're not, sometimes a noise is going to happen in the background of one of the people that's on the podcast. Now, if that noise happens when that person's talking, there's nothing you can do about it. But like as an example, if Chuck was talking right now and my dog started barking, well, if we're only recording it on the separate audio file, that's a track just means it's a separate file. If my dog is barking on my file, we can zero that out and it doesn't ruin Chuck's talk. But if it's only one track, you can't get rid of the dog bark, right? So it's a simple thing, super easy to do though. Chuck and I are using a little higher end solution called Riverside right now. I do recommend it. It's what we use for all of our clients and all of the stuff that we produce as well. But there are other solutions just like Riverside. They're not super expensive, but they're getting better and better and easier to use, frankly. So use a reasonably good quality solution. Now, you can edit like we do. Some people just record and like click publish. They're just ready to rip. They don't care. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's sort of my style, to be honest with you. You'll hear this phone call when you hear the replay. You're just like, full speed ahead. Done.
It's totally fine. But
we go for that Blair Witch sort of thing.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The most important thing is you're putting out high quality, you're putting out content, right? And I would also say, so after we get off the
okay, so that gives you a little taste of what Mike and I talked about. But for sure, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, either now or in the near future, it's worth listening to the episode. As I say, it's right up there today at the top of the page at goRIA.com. And a lot of great information, both broad strokes, but also very granular, down to the mic to choose, the editing software, and how to do some things. So it's really quite the tutorial. Okay, so that's all I have for you today at goRIA, the live stream. So on behalf of goRIA, Fueled by Investment News, I'm Chuck Vela, and I'll see you next Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. Thanks for joining us. Take care.